Welcome, Regens. This is Web3Roots Podcast, a space to explore the hearts and minds of regions all over the world. What are the views, motivations, and influences of founders and contributors in the Web3 space? What are the ideas shaping their actions? Let's take a deeper dive into their whys and get to the roots. Welcome, folks. Welcome to Web3Roots Podcast. I'm Vanessa, and I'm here with Claudio. Hi, Claudio.
Hello.
Today, we will be talking about what's the purpose for this space in which we will explore the hearts and minds of regions, and we will dive deep into the soul of every project. We're going to dive deep into the stories of the humans behind these projects and what are their motivations, what is their drive, what moves them to do these projects. How are you today, Claudio?
I'm good. I'm very good. Has been a very fun day. Got a bit of outdoors work before jumping in this call, so that's always very good to have some fresh air and like extra bit of endorphins while sitting on the desk. I'm very excited about recording this little introduction of this podcast that we've been crafting behind the scenes. So very excited. I'm looking forward to what we are gonna be doing. We thought about this episode about giving a bit of context of what are we specifically gonna be diving into, and maybe start with a little introduction of ourselves so people can get to know who we are and what are our motivations and origins. So maybe we can start with you, Vanessa. First of all, how are you? How's the day in Venezuela, where you're based right now? And please let us know and tell us a bit about yourself and how did you end up this morning connecting to this call to make an introduction of this podcast.
Sure. Well, it is a sunny day here in Venezuela, where I was born and raised, and I'm living here at the moment. And yeah, it is a beautiful, beautiful sunny day, very blue skies, and I'm so happy that I get to wake up every day with a mountain in front of me. And yeah, it's a beautiful day. And yeah, that's an interesting question. How did I end up here in this podcast and here in Web3? Well, I entered the space because a friend invited me. He invited me to deep dive into this realm that I find very interesting, because I think this is a technology for creation. This is a technology for the development of our nature of spirit, our nature of being. And I think sometimes we are kind of biased about this relationship between technology and spirituality and even religion. But I think this is a technology for integration. This is a technology for the good of the people and the good of planet Earth. So I find this really interesting, and I have, I think, 3 years now surfing the space and learning all about it. Well, I'm learning every day. This is an ongoing learning process, of course. And yeah, I studied journalism, and at first I was interested about more like the audiovisual side of it, but then I fell in love with journalism. I fell in love with journalism, and with specifically a more narrative kind of journalism, like a more literary journalism, in which you take more like the little stories, more like the maybe insignificant stories for some, but that are the ones that tell the bigger story, that show the bigger picture. So I think that I'm in Web3, finding my space and finding out how can I add value to this. And yeah, that's how I ended up here, because I'm also researching or diving deep into this relationship between technology and spirituality, which I think is key for me in this technology. I think, as I said, this is a technology that that connects with our inner selves and also with the world around us. So I think it is very interesting to explore all the possibilities of this technology. And I've always been interested into storytelling. I've always been interested also in arts and in music. I'm also a singer. I make music. And I think this is a technology for creation. I think this is a technology for developing ourselves and developing a better world. So I'm happy to do this exploration now with Web3Roots, and everything that we are going to be touching on here. How about you, Claudia? How did you end up here? And you are also a journalist.
Yes, that's the first thing we share, and the second one is that neither of us has up to today done podcasting. So yeah, it's gonna be our first exploration. So please bear with us, whoever is listening out there. So I am raised and born in Chile. So two Latin guys doing this, go the South American crew. But I am now living in Bristol, UK. So no mountains, actually. It's very flat, to be fair, these lands, which is definitely something that I'm not used to. But, oh well, it's a pretty nice city that I'm very much enjoying. In terms of my background, yes, I studied journalism. At first, I thought I was interested in like chemistry and all that more like engineering side of life. But yeah, entered full-on journalism. Another thing we share is this interest in like narrative and literature and so on. I also studied literature. And from the same perspective, kind of what are the stories behind the little stories? What does that mean in terms of bigger, higher, like, I don't know, meaning and so on. So that has been always a very deep focus of mine. I've been always doing some nonfiction and writing and so on. I don't do music, but I have written a lot about music. I don't know if a lot, but I have written about music. And also with a big focus on investigative journalism. I have been covering human rights, corruption, and different stuff throughout the years. So yeah, that would be the journalistic perspective. And jumping to the next question, how did I end up here? It was actually because of the social uprisings in Chile after 2019, where everything from, not from one day to another, but the little tip of the iceberg, the drop that collapsed the glass was a fair rise of the public transport. And from 1 hour to the next, I don't remember how much, but 30, 50 metro stations were burned to the ground. And in that very same night, all the military came to the streets, and it was literally something in terms of like social uprising and collapse, overall systemic collapse that was such a big thing that happened. It was a whole month in 2019, like so intense, so like what is going on. It was the in the makings for the last 30 years, all the corruption, all the systemic failure, all the coordination shit, so to speak, that was going on, just like popped up that day, that moment, those months. So that was a little bit of my background and how I decided, or like not decided, a friend introduced me to these technologies, and not from a very financial aspect, which is very important, of course, but it's not really what I'm interested in, rather the social impact side. So it was at first a very like, okay, so there's a lot of things wrong in Chile as a country, as political public policies and so on. So how would we leverage this kind of technologies to think a bit more deeper about the systemic way of building societies and whatnot. So that was the first kind of I would call it dream that we had, very naive approach. And through that question, I've been like moving, collaborating in different projects. I co-founded one myself, where I have been, doing different stuff. And always very intrigued by not only like Web3 can save the world. Web3 is the tool that will be the most important one, NFTs and all that hype. That I get it, but I don't really buy it. I am not really interested in that. Do see the potential of this. I do believe, just like you, that we could use this tool for creation and coordination and so on. But a bit more skeptical, a bit more, detached from all this hype and so on, trying to look not only at Web3 technologies, rather, integrated with AI, with arts, with philosophy, with religion, with spirituality, and bring a little bit more depth and interconnectedness to Web3. So that's a little bit of my angle. That's a little bit of what I would like to bring to this podcast, this project, and to this space in general. So yes, that's what I am here to add to the table. And that's
awesome. We have so many things in common. So many things in common. Even the political madness in our countries. I'm so happy that we connected. And I feel you. I feel you on what you say about this Web3 technology. In my case, I've also been working with the native people of my land, and I'm integrating also that knowledge into my life. So I'm interested how we can make this technology like with a more kind of holistic or integrated approach, maybe even a spiritual approach, as I was saying, with a means of connecting as individuals and with our inner selves and with the world around us, and to just explore our spiritual interests. So I'm happy to what is going to come up from here.
Yeah, me too. I think there's a lot of things we share that we will be bringing forward that is so much needed to have a wider way to think about this. Maybe we can now talk about what our audience will expect. Will be listening, which kind of projects we'll be exploring, and maybe what kind of questions, if it's already not clear, we'll be asking to these questions. With this in mind, maybe you can tell us a little bit, about that work you were doing with the native people that you just mentioned, or maybe what you've been reading that caught your interest, and a little bit of what have you been feeling, exploring, researching that you would like to bring to this podcast. Hey everyone, Claudio here, co-host of the Web3Roots podcast. Thank you for joining us in this journey. If you like what we're doing, consider supporting our content on social media and spread the word with your friends. Follow us on Blockchain Solidarity Pod to keep you updated on all the podcasts being crafted by this collective. You'll find all the links in the description below. And now let's get back to the chat.
Yeah, sure. Well, in this project, in this podcast, we are going to be more focused on refi projects, regenerative projects that put the focus into how we can use these technologies to do good for the people, do good for the environment. So those are the kind of projects in which we will be focusing more on. And we are going to deep dive into the origins, the stories of the humans behind these projects. Because, Web3 technology or technology in general, it's not good or bad in itself. It's about how we are using it. That's what makes it good or makes it not so good. So, how are these humans using this technology, and what are their motivations to use it in these ways? So, that's a bit about what we will be exploring. And in terms of my work with the native communities, I think what I've been seeing is that they have this approach in life that I think is very valuable to bring to this technology realm, to the Web3 realm, because as I said, this is a technology that I feel that it's very spiritual in a sense. And I think that taking a look to that ancestral wisdom, taking a look to the practices of these not primitive societies, as some could say, but contemporary societies, could maybe give us a glimpse of what is a better use of this technology to thrive as human beings. So that's sort of like the integration that I want to look for, that in my journey I'm looking for. How can we integrate this? And that's why I have this call to deep dive into these motivations, these maybe spiritual, maybe philosophical motivations of the people behind the projects. So yeah, I'm happy what we're going to discover. I'm happy about what we're going to be learning from these humans also, and all the perspectives that we are going to be looking at. What about you, Claudio?
Yeah, I will definitely feel like we are gonna be a big combo on this. On top of, or in parallel rather, of these interests, sorry, of the ancestral knowledge and so on. The word meaning popped, and yeah, one thing that I believe it's like very important is like, okay, your project can be like super good in a technical way with which change works, sectaca roll-ups, or whatever you want to put it. But yeah, maybe take a step back of that. We can talk about it. We will need to talk about it if we want to explore the project. But first, let's talk about, the meaning. Why, what kind of worlds do you envision? And yeah, what kind of more kind of abstract ideals are the founders, the leaders, the contributors of the guests will be having? What are those more abstract projects? And then we can, of course, discuss the technicals, maybe, or how do they work, which is very important, but always in that symbiotic relationship with the higher meaning, so to speak. So that's something that I would really like to do. That's something that probably will be pushing forward, and it's the whole point of this podcast. So in that regard, I think we'll do a great job. We both definitely share the curiosity and maybe even the craftsmanship after studying journalism. So that kind of sums it up, rounds it up in a way. I don't know if you have anything to add, if we should touch another point, or maybe leave it not that further, not to bore the people at the one hand. What do you feel like?
Yes, I think we've given a good glimpse of what themes we're going to be touching here. I think we both have this interest into seeing beyond the projects. And as you said, of course, we're going to talk about the projects themselves, but we're also going to take a look on these beliefs, these worldviews of these contributors, of these leaders of these projects, and see what are they envisioning. I think that's really interesting because we always hear about the projects, about the technical aspects of it. And I think that symbiotic relationship you were talking about, it's really important to take a look at where are they coming from. Right now, for example, I'm really interested into metamodernism and all the holistic or let's say integrated approach to life, that it emphasizes, because metamodernism seeks to balance all the practical, but also to balance the practical and the spiritual. And that way it aims to create a more positive and supportive environment for all. So that's one thing I'm taking a look at, that's very interesting, that relates to this relationship between technology and spirituality that I was talking about. So that's something I'm taking a look at. And I think not only metamodernism, but all these points of views, all these perspectives that we're going to be touching on, and all these exchange that we're going to be making with these humans behind these projects, I think it's going to be really, really interesting. So that's why we are calling this Web3 Roots, because we are going into the roots of these projects, going into the heart and the soul of these projects to get to know what is their why, as you said. So I'm really happy. I'm really happy that we connected with our backgrounds and everything that we have in common, and that we are jumping into the void, even if we never have done a podcast. I'm so happy that we are daring to do this, and I think we have a very interesting approach to this. What do you think?
Yeah, we're gonna kill it. We're gonna have some great guests. We're gonna be doing good research to bring forward the good questions, and of course, be empathetic throughout the whole process. So, yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to what we're gonna be doing around. So I would ask you to stay tuned. We'll be working behind the scenes to bring forward these episodes, these cool guests, and so on. So yeah, an open invitation to follow us in all our social media that you're gonna find in the description of this chapter of this podcast. Sorry. And yeah, really, really, really excited about we are now opening this fun project that we want to do. We want to have a good time. We want to go insightful, and overall just like try to bring some light to whatever moments we are in. So without much ado, I would like to thank you all for joining us today. I would like to thank you, Vanessa, for sharing all of your insights, your bit of your origins, and just say goodbye with some sun on the window and like hoping it's a really beautiful day wherever you are right now.
Yes, thank you, Claudio, and thanks everyone that is listening. I hope that you can join us throughout this journey, throughout this very new experience for us. And yeah, I think we're going to have so much fun. We're going to have a good time, and we're going to learn very interesting things about these projects. I can't wait.
Awesome. Big hug to you, and big hug to everyone listening to us. Have a great, great, great week.
Bye bye, Regens. See you in the next chapter.